So talk a little bit about why resilience is important in the LA context.
You know, Los Angeles, we know resilience. We're a resilient city that's faced floods, fires, riots, earthquakes. And we're also a place that really built itself out of nothing. I mean, this is a city that came out of a semi-arid desert. But we understand that resilience isn't just about a top-down plan. We understand at that neighborhood level, that granular level. And this work that we've been doing is really about making sure the next generation feels that, even if they haven't experienced a big earthquake in their adult lives, or a fire hasn't come to their neighborhood, or they haven't felt the impacts directly, because it is here, it is coming, and they need that.
Right, and that's sort of what I like so much about this plan, is that it is at these various geographic scales, but also at these various time scales. Yeah. So you got some stuff that you can do this year and next year, you got some stuff that is midterm, and you got really long-term goals and ambitions like re-architecting the grid.
Well, 100 Resilient Cities gave us, I think, two really important pushes. One was to think about this in how, not just the what, but how. Because so often, you know, people do a report,
right?
Where's the shelf?
Right.
Put it away. That was the last administration. No accountability, no benchmarks. And he really helped us walk through, this is something a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 and 10 years from now. The people should say, whoever's in office, whoever's in charge of the city, have you done this? Yeah. And second is to really push this forward, not as a policy area, but as a value. Something that, you know, the fire chief needs to be thinking about, and the head of our libraries needs to be thinking about. And it's not just the usual people in the usual places. Yeah. We wanted to desegregate it, and we couldn't have done that without sort of this broad approach that you helped us, you know, push forward in the city.
And we chose LA in part because you personally and this city are such leaders in this space. You've taken a lot of interest in connecting with other cities.
Picking Los Angeles, I think, was smart, not only given our history, but also we have a pretty huge platform that's also disconnected from itself. And bringing together, for instance, we have 88 cities in LA County. Yeah. And people work in one city, live in another quite often. They don't know even those boundaries. But if we don't push resilience as a value that somebody can take, maybe that starts the day in the city of LA, but then works in a neighboring city and can bring that to their workplace, what use is that? Because when the disaster hits, that might be where they are. Yeah. If we don't collectively begin to put those pieces together, then we won't be able to be as effective. But second, as you mentioned, we have global reach. And Los Angeles can really connect. I mean, Hollywood's here. We have technology in California. Snapchat's based here. Up in the Bay Area, we're very close with the tech companies that have a huge presence here. So we really see this as a way to push that platform out. We want to be students and learn from other cities that are going through this, but we also want to be teachers and promoters of this movement towards resilience globally.
Right. I mean, and that's really what the network is meant to do, is both. And we've seen it time and time again, that it's not just the slick global north cities teaching the poor developing cities, but this back and forth.
This is kind of a moment where it's back to the future. Cities and city-states were kind of the dominant way that human beings, besides empires, first came together. Yeah. And they had to think about resilience in just defensive terms. You know, how do you keep a city from burning down when everything's made of wood? What sort of fortifications do you need? Yeah. But in this day and age, it's not so much that we have to wall up cities, but we are seeing the dominance again of cities that are almost city-states. Los Angeles is the third largest economy in the world after Tokyo and New York. And it's organic. That's not an arbitrary border because of history or colonialism. It's people have moved and stayed and grown here. And that network of cities has never been more powerful. Confronting climate change, dealing with immigration, global trade. And here in LA, which is the most diverse cultural city in the world today, I think it's the face of the world today and America tomorrow. So we really have a lot at stake in getting it right, because it's what's coming down the pipeline for the rest of the country.
It's so amazing to be in this position, my position, to work with mayors and cities, because you guys are so practical, you're so innovative. All of the large political sort of policy issues that create inertia and log jams and resentment don't exist at that same scale here in the city.
And cities have a lot to teach our national governments. I mean, when our national administration withdrew from Paris Climate Accords, I didn't get upset and cry in a corner. I got 397 more cities in the U.S. to say, if they're out, we're in. Yeah. And in some ways, it's the catalyst that we needed. And so, yeah, the nation is not going to die, but the city, I think, is really the driver. And hopefully they will listen more on infrastructure, on resilience, on climate adaptation, on jobs and the economy. Yeah. Cities are 90% of the game.
What do you see as some of your big challenges? You're, entering second term. It feels like you're in an amazing spot to do incredible things.
I'm worried that the storm clouds are much fuller than people recognize, and that the human aspects of not dealing with building resilience are building. This is a pause, a moment of prosperity relatively, still a lot of people in the developing world coming out of poverty every single day, but it won't take much disruption, whether it's to our seas, whether it's to the extreme weather events that we have, where most of our attention and resources will quickly be diverted away. What gets me to sleep quickly is recognizing the deep human capital and the speed of connecting with each other. Probably ideas had to literally take months or years to cross oceans or overland to be disseminated in the past.
Yeah.
They happen within seconds now.
Yeah.
And if these convenings and these networks continue to build, I think human beings won't settle for inaction, won't settle for a world getting worse. And I think the human spirit in its aspirations is much stronger than it is in its fears.